Hey there, Guna here. Welcome back to another video. So in this video, we'll be looking at how we can build an AI chatbot within 30 minutes using Google Tools. So when I say AI chatbot, I'm sure you guys are quite familiar with this sort of interface in many websites, right? Where you have a pop-up chatbot that you can have like a natural sort of conversation with chat-based conversation. So this sort of basic version, you can actually build it really fast. When I say really fast, I'm talking about like 10, 15 minutes, you can set it up. Okay. So this is actually quite useful for enterprises. Okay. If you're going to use this sort of natural language based chat interface for your internal and external chat. So this can be like even for your policies, your guides, and even your external ESG communications. Okay, and our example, we're looking at one specific use case where we'll develop the chatbot, and then we will kind of park it in Google Sites. So in this case, it's going to be for like internal sort of enterprise communications. Okay, so the tool that we'll be using in this case is conversational agents. Okay, and this is part of Google Cloud's platform, and it's generally a quite advanced sort of you can create quite advanced functions workflows using this tool, but in our case today we will be looking at a very basic use case, and it's going to be a literal illustration on creating an agent with a few clicks. Okay, when Google says few clicks, it literally means few clicks. Okay, but technically, you can create text-based and voice-based agents. You can also have quite advanced sort of workflows integrated into these agents. But in our case, it's going to be there's going to be a database. Okay, when I say database, it's PDF documents, and the chat will refer to this PDF document as a reference. So, and then just going to literally we're going to talk to the agent to get information from the PDF document. So it's quite a straightforward use case, and it's probably the most simplest use case that we have for this sort of chat base. I mean, this sort of AI chatbots. Okay, so it literally has like three phases to set it up, and the first phase is going to be the Google Cloud's project site preparation. Okay, obviously we have to prepare the data first. Okay, so this data in this particular case is going to be two PDF files. That's it. Okay, and this and then we for the step two we have to create a Google Cloud project. We have to enable the billing and the APIs, and then we have to create a cloud storage bucket where this data, the two PDF files, will be sitting. Okay, and then is going to be the phase two, which we'll be doing it within the conversational agents platform. And here is where we will create the agent. We will link this data which sits here. We will link this agent to this data. Okay, and then there's some other minimal configuration on how it works and all that. Okay, and then the third phase is going to be once we build this agent, we'll be getting a code, and this code we can paste it anywhere. So in this case, we'll be pasting it in Google Sites. This can also be your company's website. This also can be a lot of other tools which can integrate this chatbot. But in this case, it's going to be the most simplest basic use case. Okay. So let's start with the fundamentals. Okay, we'll look into this. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be two PDF files, as I mentioned earlier, and we're going to use Google's documents as a reference. So I've downloaded two files. One is the environmental report for 2025. Okay, and another one is a product sort of product information sheet. Okay, so this is Google Pixel 9a's product environmental report as well. Okay, but the idea is we're going to illustrate two use cases. Okay, let's say we have uh, policies or reports and all that. Okay, we can use this to communicate with the report to get information. And then also maybe let's say we got, if you got a website, you want to create a sort of chatbot that can talk about products, right? Like if you're selling any product, you can have a so-called AI agent that can describe the product. So this will illustrate that, and this the first one will illustrate on the policy side, ESG side, where you communicate with your internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So we have these two PDF files, and this will be, let's look at, so this one is done, and then we look at how we can set up Google Cloud project. Okay, for Google Cloud projects, for any sort of workflow, this is probably quite standard that you're gonna do. You're gonna create a project, okay, and in this case, for all my demonstrations, I'm going to use this particular project. So it's going to be this project, and then you have to create a billing for that. Okay, once you do that, we have to enable two APIs for this particular use case. It's going to be Diagflow API and Vortex AI API. Okay, so you can check. Actually, you can come to, once you create a project, you can actually come to APIs and services, and then you can check and see if this is enabled by default. Then it's okay. If not, you have to enable. You have to click on this. You have to type Diagflow API, and then it will bring you up to this one, and then you have to enable it. That's all. Okay, the same logic goes to this as well. Check and see if it's not enabled. Type Vortex AI API, and then you enable it. Okay, so once you do it, we can see that it's going to be part of your enabled API list, right? Okay, so that is step two complete. Okay, so after doing that, we'll be looking at the next stage, which will create the Google Cloud bucket storage, where this database will be sitting in. Okay, so that is also quite straightforward. Go back to your Google Cloud Projects interface, and then you click on Cloud Storage. Okay, if it's not here, then look at View All Products, but in most cases it will be here. Click on that, and then you create a bucket. Okay, so you create a bucket, put a name. Okay, it doesn't matter what name. Okay, you can create a name. Okay, let's just say this example. I'm just gonna do some random name. Okay, so the important part for bucket is the location has to be consistent with your this tool that we were looking at. Okay, so make sure I mean, there's no like fixed rules for this, but ideally you can choose a place that is closest to you. So in my case, I will always go with Asia, since that's where I'm from. Okay, and then continue, and this one for this is going to be standard. Continue, continue, and then you create. So once you create a bucket, you'll be able to see your bucket listed here. So you click on that, and then you create a folder so that you can add the files. So in this case, I'm going to be naming it as Google Ref. Create the folder, and then in the folder we add the files. Okay, so it's going to be these two. Add. Okay, so once you created the bucket and the folder, we are done with step three. It's that easy, right? So next part is we'll be looking at the phase two, where we'll be building the chatbot using the conversational agents platform. Let's look at the steps. Go to Google, type conversational agents, and then you'll be able to open up this one. Okay, this is again is part of your Google's cloud project as well. Okay, and then you select the project that you created earlier. So once you select the project, you'll be able to create a new agent. Okay, so how you do that is you click on create an agent, use build your own agent, and then this can be any name, right? So I'm not going to create it here because I already created mine, but just put display name. And the important part is this has to match your location again. So again, in my case, it's going to be here, and then of course the time has to match your time zone as well. Okay, so once you do this, and then language, set the language, and then we'll be using this method. Okay, at this point of time, you if you don't really understand the technicalities, it's okay. Try to just follow and get one so-called agent out there first, then you'll understand how it works, right? And ours is going to be a sort of generic agent where we'll use generative AI to talk to the data and to us. Okay, so for that use case, we'll be using Playbook, which uses generative AI to understand what we are asking, and then it's also going to look at the data and then get back to us with answer. Okay, and also for we like I said just now, this is the easier way of looking at it. Okay, the Playbook, and we can also build like complex workflows by using this flow method. So in our case, it's going to be Playbook. Okay, so once you create that, you will be brought up to this screen. So this is the general interface of your agent builder, of your AI chat builder. Okay, again, for the first time, this might look like there's a lot of things happening, but then again, we are not going to worry about the complicated part. We'll just do one very simple model. Okay, so for that, this is the part where you have the tools where we'll be using the playbook to build the model, and then we'll be adding tools. The tools is the one that data, right? And then you have to worry about one more thing is this, the simulator. So once you build this, we can test the model in the simulator. Okay, so let's look at the first step now. The first step is go to playbooks, create a new playbook. Okay, once you create a new playbook, go with the routine playbook. Okay, and then you can name the playbook. Okay, so in this case, I just stick with the default one. Okay, and then we can just we can provide some goals to the so-called AI chatbot. Okay, again, this can be anything. In our case, it's a very simple assistant that's going to talk to us and then get information from the database. Okay, so you are a helpful assistant who will answer questions related to the topics of these two data that we uploaded earlier, right? Okay, so once we do this, and then we will look at how we can kind of give more specific instructions. The goal is more of like an overarching sort of idea to the agent. What is the agent's identity? Okay, and then the instructions is where we tell it step by step on how you can do what. Okay, so in this case, again, it's a very simple use case, so it's going to be very simple. So we start with telling the agent, the AI chatbot, you greet the user, and then you tell them you can help with the methods related to this one. Okay, and then once let's say we begin the chat with the agent, right? Okay, you can tell them, okay, if there's any questions and all that, you can use the tool, okay, to get information related to this topic. You have the data which is sitting in your Google Clouds bucket, right? Storage bucket. And then in order for this to be accessed by your agent, you have to link this to a data store. Okay, so that's all we're going to do now. Okay, so for the first time, you create a data store. Okay, you can put a name. It can be any name again. Okay, and then you can provide a description saying that. Okay, let me just show you an example that I've done earlier. Okay, so once you click on the data store to create one, Okay, you can put a name to that. Then its type is going to be data store. Okay, since what we're going to do for this particular tool is it's just going to refer back to data in that Google Cloud bucket. Okay, and then we provide a description. This tool, what is, so it's literally like telling the agent what is this tool all about. Okay, so this has two PDF files which can be used to get information about these two topics. Okay, and then what we will do is we will create, if you're doing the for the first time, you have to create the data store. Okay, and then it's going to be cloud storage unstructured data. Okay, this is website straightforward. If you want to use, you can use a website as a data reference as well, and then we can use a structured database as a reference as well. But in this case, it's a PDF file. Okay, it's a static file, so we're going to be using this. Again, put a name. Okay, for the first time, you're gonna go to advanced options. Okay, so this is going to be unstructured documents. It's a PDF file, and this synchronization is, in this case, it's a one-off file upload. So you just need to do it once. So once you upload the file, it's gonna, like, study the data. It's gonna pass the information and then store it in a sort of readily available information. Okay, and then we'll select the folder. We'll browse to our Google Cloud storage. It's this one, and then this is the file we created earlier. So yeah, just click on that folder. You select, you click on continue, and then again you select the same. So in this case, just now we selected global, right, for the agent. So it's the same, and then we can put a name, and then we create. Okay, so once you do that, this data store will be created. Okay, and then we'll go back here, since I already created earlier, right? So you will see this. So you will have a new data store being created. Okay, so this is basically the one that we created earlier, and the type is unstructured documents. It's going to refer back to this particular two PDFs. So there's two PDFs here. Okay, so this two PDF is linked to your AI chatbot. So once you do that, you save, and the tools has been created. So now we have to link the tool to the AI chatbot. Go back to your playbooks, click on your playbook. Okay, and then here, in order for you to link the tool to your instructions, okay, we'll be typing this sort of code. This one, open bracket, type tool, and then that particular data store that we created. So in this case, if you just type like Google, like, it will know whatever data source that you have within the project. It's going to show that. Okay, so once we link up the data store, it's literally done. That's all. Okay, pretty much all the so-called basic steps to configure the AI chatbot has been completed. Then you just press save, and then now we can test and see. Okay, so the models, I mean, this can be anything, but for our simple use case, let's just stick to the most basic one. Okay, so let's test and see. So it is going to follow, right, like this specific instructions that we gave, right? So if, let's say, you put additional instruction there, hey, how are you doing? Is everything okay? So it will just follow that particular sort of greeting style that we want. Okay. So in this case, it's going to say, "How can I help you?" So as usual, then let's just try to ask, "What sort info do you have? Okay, so it can refer back. So in this case, it's following back to our goal. So it's saying that, yeah, I have these two information. We can talk about that. So let's just say, okay, I want to talk about. Okay, before that, let's see what sort of information that we can just kind of cross check, right? Okay, so we have the pixel line in document. So let's look at this first. Let's see some information that is, yeah. Let's just go with the second page. Okay, there's some product highlights, right? So yeah, this product seem to have a so-called green certification, right? There's a eco label. So let's ask our friendly AI chatbot. Does he know about it? I want to know about. Okay, so we just ask, does it have any eco label? So yeah, technically it's gonna know. So now this so-called AI chatbot can read this entire PDF file and then it can come up with summaries. So whatever information that you have here has been passed and stored as a data source for that AI chatbot. Okay, so let's try another one. So let's see for the second document. Let's go back here. Okay, so we will try to ask some information from the back part of the document just to check if it's able to read all the information. Okay, so this is one of the last pages. Yeah, the fifth last page, and they have their certifications and recognitions. Okay, so let's just stick to this. Let's just ask if, okay, Google has any sort of ISO certifications. Does Google has any ISO certifications? Okay, so you see how it works, right? So it literally kind of graphed and the entire document. These two document, it knows everything and everything now. Okay, so yeah, we have 50,000 sorry, 50,001 energy management, and then there's 14,001. Yeah, so yeah, ISO 50001, and then there's also 14001. So you get the idea, right? So now this agent is an expert in these two particular information. Again, this can be anything. Okay, so you can have, like, let's say if you want to build an ESG AI chatbot that you want to kind of put in your website, right? So you can put all sort of policies, your performance and all that in PDF documents or other documents, and then you can create the chatbot in this manner, and then you can just get the code, and then you can put it in your website. So if the website, if it's done by yourself, it's going to be quite straightforward. If not, you can just take the code, you can pass it to your website developer and say that, you know what, I want this chatbot to be part of my website. Okay, it's a very straightforward process to integrate. Okay, so phase two done. We have configured the chatbot. Now let's look at the last phase, which is integration. So this is straightforward. We get the code and then we'll embedding it in Google Sites. So how do we do that? Go back to your conversational agents interface and look for integrations. In integrations, what you do is you look for. So here we can see that okay, there's many sort of so-called pre-built integrations available, third-party apps as well. So here we will taking the code which can be embedded into websites, okay, and other applications as well. So you click on this conversational messenger. So once you click on that, okay, and you allow for, since you want it to be public sort of domain, right? So you can go for this, the first access, anonymous access. Anybody can use it, okay. And then we can choose what sort of type we want, right? So we can have the pop-up type where there'll be a small button, and then you click on that, it opens up. Or you can have like like a pre-built sort of side panel. So for in this case, we'll just choose this one. Done. Okay. Okay. So once you do that, you get the code. Okay. And here we will copy the code, and then we will go to our Google Sites, and let's say we have created a page. Okay, you create a page. So this one can be anything. Okay. Let's just look at the sample on how we can integrate it. Okay, so you want to insert, right? You go to insert. Okay, you click on embed. We're going to embed like a third party codes and all that into this. Okay, select embed code, paste. Next. So yeah, the entire AI chatbot interface is here. Insert. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. You have constructed your own AI chatbot within, I would say, 30 minutes, right? Okay, so once you do this, it's already available. So we just need to publish in Google Sites, and you can view that particular chatbot. So of course you have your Google Sites, in this case the internal website. You can have anything, right? So you in this case it's like like your own internal sort of database for your staff, or your internal stakeholders can have a chat with the AI chatbot. Okay, so it's the same thing that we tested just now. Okay, so let's just say tell me something about the phone. See, that's it. We have created an AI chatbot. So now you know that when you look at the AI chatbots in the website, sometimes you just think, okay, this might be quite hard to construct or build, right? No, actually, it's not. Also depends on the use case. So what we saw here is the most basic sort of use case, and this can be done within 30 minutes, right? So yeah, that's about it for this video. Stay tuned for more use case examples.